Have you ever noticed yourself or others being able to beat teams that have much higher power than you? That's in large part to the servants. They increase the power of your team by a ton even if they don't increase your combat power, and we're going to do a tier list for them today. Well, it's less of a tier list and more of a list for the order you should get them in. The tiers are broken up into the rarity of the servants because depending on the rarity, you can actually work on all of these at the same time pretty much. Whenever I talk about any of the servants, we're just going to talk about them as if they're ranked up to the max already, and we'll save Unparalleled for last, so stick around. First we have the epic servants. You can get these in the servant shop every day. First we have Panda, increases our attack by 8%, so we'll work with our damage dealers and our healers. Next we have Ninja, it's just a 5% flat damage increase. Next I would go for Geo for his 5% crit buff. If you're still wondering which epic servants to get, that means you're in really early game, and really early game you're going to want to buff up your damage as much as you can just to push through the tower and everything. Next we have Hephaestus for his damage reduction of 5%. Abe no Seme for his 8% HP buff. And the next doesn't really matter too much. You could go Spartacus for his crit damage bonus, Potamus for his crit damage reduction, and Siren for her defense buff. You're going to get all these epic ones pretty quickly and you'll stop using them eventually. Next we have the legendary servants. We'll start with the second group. Cyangon going in there first. He reduces healing received by the enemy by 12% for 2 turns on crit, up to 60%. This goes pretty good with the crit buff from Valkyrie right now. It's kind of a toss up between first and second, but I'm going to put him in second. Next is Nikita for the 100% chance to resist the next application of status ailment from her magic shield buff. Then we have Phoenix for a 32% single target healing buff. The only reason it's not in first is because it's only for single targets, not AoE healing. Next we have Ares for the straight up 20% HP buff. Asclepios for her 7.5% max HP self-heal starting from turn 2 and onwards. Then we got Shirley, they put the wrong avatar there, who increases the damage dealt to the enemy by 6% for each debuff on the enemy up to 36%. This one won't be super good right now, but there's more units with debuffs coming out and it'll probably go up a tier by then. And finally, Medusa for her 60% chance to bewitch a male enemy when the servant's equipped on a female officer. Then we've got our third group for the legendaries. Only go after these ones once you have the first and second group already maxed out. First we got Cyclops, who can deal damage equal to 30% of the defense to the attacker when he's taking damage. Then we have Dion Aqua, 28% chance to extend a burn by 1 turn after it's applied, as well as a 50% chance to gain 1 rage. Next we have King Arthur, with her 60% chance to gain 1 rage on applying a debuff. Then we have Laplace, who has a 60% chance to apply burn for 1 turn to all enemies when she dies, or when whoever has her equipped dies, I should say. Then we have Alice, 27% chance to apply burn on the attacker for 1 turn when attacked. Frost Edge, who prevents targets under burn from gaining an invincible shield as well as increasing burn damage by 15%. The preventing invincible shields are really good, but that means you're going to have burn units on your team. And to have a good damage dealing team with burn units, you're going to need to have a couple units just to replace one. Like you'll have to have Lamia and Lucifer to replace Great Adventurer, so it just doesn't, burn teams don't work out very well right now. All the burn ones will eventually become better once we get our light dark burn unit, but right now they're practically useless along with these next two, which is Taichi, 17.5% chance to apply poison on the attacker for 2 turns when attacked by a basic attack. And finally Laura, who when applying poison, 30% chance to extend it by 1 turn and can only be triggered 3 times per turn. Poison's not good. So the first group you should be going for, this is the one you prioritize. Ren for her 22% skill damage bonus. Portabelle for his 0.5% damage bonus for every 1% HP lost on the enemy. Next we got Jiang Aqua, 100% chance to lower the target's rage by 1 when dealing a single target damage. Got Hera, 60% chance to steal 1 rage from the enemy when dealing single target damage. And finally Lady Zen for a straight up 15% healing buff for all healing. All of those legendary ones will pop up fairly often in the servant shop. And now for our mythic tiers, which you can get through the servant summon with only 30 pity, and they very rarely show up in the servant shop. Again, these are split into 2 groups, so go for the first group first, second group second. We've got Guan Yu, gives us a 25% crit rate buff and a 25% crit damage buff, while also giving us a chance to hit through invincible shields, 100% for single target, 60% chance for column, 45% chance for row, and 25% chance for AoE. Next is Moon, who after casting a skill increases our damage by 21%, reduces enemy defense by 10% for 7 turns, both of which are stackable. That's insane. Next we have Gilgamesh, who gives us 2 rage on a battle start and 100% chance to gain rage on a skill cast. Lamia, who ignores 15% of enemies' defense and increases our damage by 15% as well. We've got Kong Ming, who increases our damage reduction by 18% while also splitting 100% of non-lethal damage evenly between 2 other allies with the highest HP. And finally, Joan of Arc, who increases our damage reduction by 17%, while also giving a 20% chance to reduce the attacker's attack by 10% for 2 turns up to 3 stacks. For the second group you go for after you get all these first group ones done, we'll start with Yukihime, who after casting a skill has an 80% chance to lower the rage of the enemy unit with the most rage by 1 and reduce their final damage by 12% for 1 turn up to 3 stacks. We've got Aquarius next, gives us a 3.5% HP shield for 7 turns when attacked up to 87.5%. We've got Lu Bu, who gives our basic attacks a 30% lifesteal. Every 4 basic attacks increases the final damage of the next attack by 40%, which is a big hit or miss because the next attack could be a skill or it could just be another basic attack. And lastly, we have Hades, who whenever rage is lowered gives us a 40% chance to gain 1 rage. Now these next 2 are pretty much only good for Great Adventure right now, so for Saitama tier, Lucifer, who buffs our basic attack damage by 17% while also giving us 15% lifesteal. So keep in mind, Great Adventure doesn't have a skill, he has a basic attack only. So any of these skill damage ones aren't going to work on him, but the basic attack ones do. And also the Great Adventurer Servant himself, which increases our basic attack damage by 13% and has a 25% chance to take an extra turn on basic attack once per turn. Now we have the one everyone wants to know about, the Unparalleled Servants. They're mostly good, but there's a few not good ones, so we'll start with those. Blasting will be our first not good one, which gives basic attacks a 100% chance to crit, including for healers, but it doesn't work from the extra basic attacks that you get from traits. This is by no means game changing, like an Unparalleled Servant should be really good, they're the rarest ones, and this just isn't good. Enduring is also another one that you can ignore. Gives you a magic shield on turn 1 and every turn after, which resists an ailment effect and restores 15% HP on yourself. It's really not anything special, and after 1 debuff, it's going to be gone, so don't go for that one, because you can always just go for the legendary version of that. And we also have Twin, which gives a 100% chance to gain death immune when taking fatal damage, which sounds really good, but you're going to need to max it out to get to the 100%. So you're going to be using a lot of servant pieces that you could use to max out the actual good ones, so just stay away from this one. There's actually going to be a game function released in the pretty near future, which is better than this. Actually, a couple of different functions that, one that prevents the use or the need for this one, and then one that does what it does, but just better. Now we have the actually good ones, and the first one is Blessing. You're going to want to get this one up maxed out as quick as you can. It makes it so you take no more than 50% of max HP as damage from a single hit. So let's say you have 1 million hit points. You take a hit for 3 million damage, you're only going to actually be hit for 500,000. And then if you get healed by like literally any amount, say 1%, so you're at 510,000 HP now. You take another 3 million damage. It's still only going to do another 500k. You're going to survive 2 fatal hits. This is going to just massively increase the survivability of your team. And next, go for Edge. It's just a straight up great damage buff of 30% right out the gate. Don't need to explain that one. Slaying is next. It gives you a final damage buff based on the amount of enemies targeted by the attack, ranging from 15 to 35% when attacking 1 through 6 enemies. So it starts at 15% for 1 enemy and it goes up for 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 6 enemies that are targeted by the attack, then you'll get the 35%. It's great for AoE attackers, but not very good for single target DPS. Now we have Sturdy, or as the game wants to label it, Struddy. It's like Edge, but it gives a 30% damage reduction straight up. It's very nice. If you're struggling with survivability, even after maxing Blessing, you could work on this one instead of Slaying. You could just switch the order that you work on them in. And now we have a weird one, which is Fortifying. I'm not exactly sure where to put this one actually. It gives you a 20% HP shield at the start of the battle. I have a friend in the other game who's done some pretty good testing on the servants in that game. They all have the exact same passive abilities and everything. And he's around 3 billion combat power. So as he's tested it, it can help quite a bit or do not much at all. Because you will take that damage from after Blessing reduces your damage, you'll take it as shield damage first. So it can really help with survivability. But there's so many game mechanics later on in the game regarding shields and damage reduction and stuff like that. So it's really hard to say where to put this one. I'm going to put it at the back end of the good ones just in case. But getting these 4 done are definitely your top priority. So now I just want to go over the servant summons so you don't mess anything up or like waste your tickets for this. You should be going for Blessing first, right? So as you can see here, we have the pity for this after 100 draws. This will rotate just like the red one. So right now it's Sturdy, which is also called Athena. They need to fix that. It's going to be confusing. So it's our damage reduction one, and this is our basic attack crit one. You don't want to summon when it's like this, because if you choose, say, Blessing, Edge, and Sturdy, you really want to get Blessing, right? You only have a 33% chance to get Blessing. So you wait until the pity includes Blessing. It'll be Blessing here and Edge here. Then you'll choose Blessing. Or if you're working on an Edge, then you'll choose Edge. So then you have a 100% chance to get that from pity. Otherwise, it's a bit of a gamble, and with how long it takes to save these up, or if you're spending money to get these, then you don't want to waste that, right? And if you are spending money, make sure to check out my affiliate code for the game. You'll get between 10 and 30% bonus back that you can spend in-game. I'll have everything linked in the description below. There'll be a video showing you how to use it and everything, so make sure to check that out. But yeah, like I said, don't summon when you're not guaranteed to get what you want. These will also rotate. I believe it's on a week rotation. So we have Lucifer here, Yukihime, and Lubu. And then it'll switch over to like Guan Yu, Kong Ming, and Gilgamesh, I think it is. I think there's 3 different rotations, maybe 4. But the most important thing is to wait until you get the right Unparalleled Servant in there. Now, for who to equip all these on. Your AoE damage dealers, you'll probably want Edge, Slaying, Moon, Lamia, Guan Yu, Ren, and Portabelle. Single target attackers, Edge, Moon, Guan Yu, Lamia, Jiang Aqua, Hera, Ren, and Portabelle. All units can use Blessing, Sturdy, Kongming, Joan of Arc, Gilgamesh, Ares, Aquarius, and Asclepios. Healers gonna want Lady Zen and Phoenix if it applies for them. Supports like Aquarius and Medusa, those kind of units, can also use Jiang Aqua and Hera. And for some future game info for you, you'll eventually need a lot of maxed out servants, because once they're maxed out, the extra copies that you have will be able to use to level up a servant blessing. This is going to be a new game mechanic, and after you level it up so much, it'll unlock a second page of servant equip slots for you. So you go from, instead of a max of 8 we have right now, you can max out at 14 different equips for servants. So if you're getting a lot of extra copies of ones that you already have maxed out, don't worry, you're going to need them still. And that's pretty much it. That should give you some good info on where to head for your servants, which ones to prioritize. And like I said, if you're going to be spending money, especially for the Unparalleled ones, check out my affiliate code, and I'll catch you next time. See ya.